Hi guys, so it's been a few days that I've been daily driving the Huawei Mate 8. I think it's a good time to give you a full review, so let's go ahead and do this baby. Alright, first up, let's go ahead and talk about the design of this phone. Design on the Huawei Mate 8, I think it's one of the best out there right now. It's got a nice unibody metal design. It doesn't have a hump like the Nexus 6P. I actually prefer the look of the Huawei Mate 8 versus the 6P. There's no hump on the phone, you get nice smooth lines, along with a fingerprint sensor that's located on the back of the phone, a 16 megapixel camera. Also, it has dual SIM card slot with SD card slot, meaning you can easily expand the storage, and also Android 6.0 Marshmallow allows you to use SD card storage as internal, so that is a nice feature. As far as the size and feel, it's nearly identical to the 6P. It's slightly wider. Other than that, it's actually easy to grip with one hand. Now, if you have large hands, this may be the perfect size for you. For me, I really like the 5.5-inch size of the Note 5, but the Huawei Mate 8 feels a lot thinner than the Note 5, so that really offsets the feel. So I have zero problems holding the phone. And of course, this is really a two-handed phablet device. For those of you who want to ditch your tablet and use tablet and phone in one, this is the phone for you. Performance on the Huawei Mate 8 is one of the best I've tried. In Antutu benchmarking, you'll get scores above the Note 5, current king of smartphones for performance. Now, the Kirin 950 processor is actually made by Huawei, and although I've been disappointed with previous Chinese chip manufacturers like MediaTek, this is probably the most amazing processor I've seen out of a Chinese manufacturer. Not being a racist here or anything like that, but in the past I've seen Chinese manufacturers make chips. I haven't really liked them, but Huawei has done it right. So I really like that. They're also working on Kirin 955. So I'm really looking forward to that also. Now, this phone is super zippy with the Kirin processor. This is an amazing processor that does not overheat, outperforms the Note 5 processor. It's gonna get that performance you want. I actually have zero bad things to say about it. It doesn't overheat, it is super fast. If you want the fastest processor out right now, this is definitely it. Of course, in 2 or 3 months, Galaxy S7 and LG G5 will be coming out with the new Qualcomm 820, which supposedly twice faster than Exynos 7420 and probably a lot faster than the Kirin 950. So I would really wait it out for another 2 months before I actually make a purchase. And also, the Mate 8 probably won't be in the US for another couple of months anyways. As far as the software UI, it looks very similar to MyUI. I think it's actually a derivative of it. You don't have an app drawer. It's sort of like iPhone interface. If you don't like it, you can always install a third-party launcher like Nova Launcher. So that's not a huge concern. There's not too much blur, which I really like. It comes with basic themes that you can also customize. The setting and menu are very plain and simple, which I really like. It's not cluttered like MyUI. I really like that. It doesn't have a ton of features, but it will really boil down to whether you can root it, install custom ROMs, and add new features. But for the average user, I would install Nova Launcher. If you don't like the launcher, it runs the latest 6.0 Marshmallow. You'll get all the benefits of the Android 6.0. DOS mode, app permissions. The software part is pretty good. Actually, it's above average. While a lot of Samsung phones like the Note 5 still waiting for Android 6.0 Marshmallow. So for performance, I give it 5 out of 5. You can't get any better than this right now. All right, next let's talk about the display of the Huawei Mate 8. It comes with a 1080p screen. It's not a 1440p you will find with most phablets of this size. It's not a deal breaker though. The screen itself is the brightest LCD that I've tried. It measures about 490 lux on my light meter. That's about 50 points brighter than something like the LG V10, Xperia Z5 Premium. It is actually the brightest LCD out on the market right now. Screen itself is super crisp. Even though it's 1080p, in the display setting, you can make everything look small, medium, or large. For those of you with reading glasses, you'll be able to read websites a lot easier with the large font. Or if you prefer, you can have smaller font. And what I've experienced is that even though it's a 1080p with a 6-point-inch screen, everything looks crisp and clear whether you set it on large, medium, or small. And also, viewing angles are excellent on this phone. It's actually one of the best I've seen on the phone with an LCD display. Alright, it's not going to be as bright as AMOLED screen used on the Nexus 6P or the Note 5, but I've had zero problems reading it in the sun, outdoors. So if you're worried about screen brightness or crispiness, you'll not have to worry about that with the Huawei Mate 8. Of course, your resolution is limited to 1080p, but if you don't absorb a lot of 1440p content, you don't watch any YouTube videos, you don't really mind having a 1080p screen, then it might actually work out for you. Besides that, you may get better battery life. Battery life is excellent on the Huawei Mate 8. It's got a 4000 milliamp hour battery. That's highest in its class for a phablet size device. I think this phone gets more battery life than the Note 5 Nexus 6P. I get a full day and a half, sometimes two. But if you're looking for a phone that you don't have to charge the battery at all, this is definitely it, and you want a large size phone. Huawei did an excellent job of putting such a large battery on a thin profile. Now, it does not have USB Type-C, but it does support USB Type-B, Quick Charge 2.0. The charging times are not as fast as something like Nexus 6P, but then again, the battery is large, so it takes a lot longer than most phones to charge fully. But it's not a problem. Once fully charged up, you get this battery life that's unbelievable. All right, speakers and microphone are decent on the Huawei Mate 8. I do admit it's not the best out there, but it's decent. It's gonna keep up. Speaker's not super loud. It's got a mono speaker on the bottom. You're not gonna get that nice front-facing speakers like the 6P, which also Huawei made, but it shouldn't be a huge deal breaker unless that's an important feature to you. Microphone is decent. It's nothing out of extraordinary. I would say Note 5 is the gold standard of the best microphone for a smartphone. This one is decent. All right, let's talk about the camera on the Huawei Mate 8. It features a 16 megapixel camera with 1080p recording up to 60 frames per second. As far as stills go, in auto mode, it's not good as the Note 5 or the LG V10, but it does offer Pro mode, which is basically manual mode where you can go ahead and control the ISO, shutter speed, white balance, and all that good stuff. I feel like it takes much better photos in manual mode. So if you're a photographer and you're used to manual mode, you should have no problems taking excellent photos. Now, the auto mode is not that accurate, especially in low light, I feel, but otherwise it's a decent camera, and this is a media exclusive version, so by the time we see the official US versions, it may have improved. All right, probably the only thing missing is 4K video recording on the Huawei Mate 8. It's not a huge deal breaker, but a lot of phablets now have 4K recording out of the box. A lot of older phones, even like the Galaxy S5, have 4K video recording. This also may be implemented through software updates, and I hope Huawei updates it. But if you don't care for 4K video recording, you don't make a lot of videos, it should not be a huge deal for you. All right, probably the coolest part on this phone is the front camera. When you take selfies, you get nice depth of field, and for videos, you get very nice quality. This is actually one of the best selfie cameras I've seen on a smartphone so far. So if you take a lot of selfies, this is definitely the phone for you. All right, this phone does have dual SIM. You can actually use two different SIM cards. Now, you cannot use 4G LTE on both SIM cards. You can only use 4G LTE on the main SIM card. The second SIM card, you can use 2G, voice, and SMS. So this phone is really intended for those of you who want to have a main SIM for your data and voice, and you want to have a second SIM for your voice and SMS from a second number. Now, this may actually work out if you're traveling. You can go ahead and put your US SIM in the second SIM, and maybe your prepaid SIM in Thailand in the main SIM. You can go ahead and enjoy the data in Thailand and have a Thailand number, Thailand 4G LTE, and your second SIM will be roaming, so you can take calls and SMS from your mainland. Now, the media exclusive version that I'll have is actually an international model. It does not support 4G LTE in the US, but it does support HSPA Plus in the US. Now, it's not 100% sure, but Huawei may release US versions. We should have full 4G LTE capability in the US. All right, and I really dig the fact that you can put two SIMs and one SD card in one slot. Now, if you're looking for something that can do dual SIM and use 4G LTE on both SIMs, you may want to look into OnePlus 2, which can do that. All right, I don't want to make this review too long, but I wanted to cover everything about the Huawei Mate 8. I'm sort of different from my usual style. Do let me know if you like it. But let me do a wrap up of the Huawei Mate 8. So basically, if you don't mind the 1080p screen, you want an extra long battery life, you want the fastest performance right now before the S7 or the G5 comes out. And also you want to have the ability to have dual SIM support and a micro SD card and a really cool fingerprint sensor that works really quick. And you take a lot of videos and a lot of selfies. You want all of this at an affordable price, then the Huawei Mate 8 be recommended. Personally though, I don't have problems with battery life because I'm usually charging my phone at least once a day. I do prefer the 1440p, and camera is very important to me. I feel like the 6P takes much better photos. My Note 5 does great for photos and videos. So my personal choice is actually the 6P. I think it's about the same cost anyways. Plus 6P works on AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, and Verizon. The version I have doesn't support 4G LTE in US yet, so my bet goes to the 6P or the Note 5. But depending on your preference, like I said, the Huawei Mate 8 may work out for you. Anyway, I hope this video helps you in choosing your next smartphone. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. If you have any questions, I'm on Periscope every morning, PST, around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Follow me on Periscope. My ID is ZetoMax. And as always, stay on Android.